Hello everyone, Naz this side from nazislam.com, and in this video I will talk about how you can create a RESTful web service using Node.js. So as you would already know that RESTful web service uses like a specific REST verbs such as like get, put, post and delete. So we will be creating a API using Node.js and the Express framework in order to mimic those different RESTful calls. So, as the um, initial step, let's open up our terminal. And once we have our terminal, you will be seeing that I have a folder called RESTful APIs using Node.js, and underneath that, I can do an npm init. Let's call it REST, and I just use the default configuration setup. So now you will be seeing that I have a package.json file, and we through this I'm specifying this project as a Node.js project. And at this point, I can create an app.js file in which I will bring in Express framework with require Express and specify our app Express, the port 3000 and app.listen to our port, and which will take this function, and whenever we run this server, we'll be calling server is running on port, the port. Okay, so now at this point, if I save this, and since you see that I'm bringing in the Express framework, I need to do npm install -- save Express. So now you can see that it created it imported the Express framework, and if I look into this package.json file, I will be seeing the as dependencies I have got Express here. So what we will be doing is that we will also bring in npm Nodemon, and we will do this to have a separate script which will call this Nodemon and which will call on app.js file. So what this Nodemon does is that it monitors everything that we change in our root project, and if we change anything, it just restarts the server. So for example, if I do an npm start now, so this would run our application through this Nodemon command, and if we update anything or change anything, it will restart automatically. So this is the bare bone of our application, and at this point I can bring in the router. Express router, the router. So I'm specifying that every time we will be calling this slash endpoint, basically this will point to this router. So now I can do an router.route and get, and which will take a callback function which will take a request and response object, and I can do rest.json and let's send a JSON here that let's say the route is the root route, something like that. And okay, so now you will see that if I save this, so I do a command S, I save this, and you will see that it automatically restarted our server. So at this point, if I open up a browser, let's say, so if I open up this browser and I do localhost and our application is running on 3004, so you will see that this um, printed the JSON that we are sending for this um, route, which is this / in our case. Okay, so in order to create our REST API, we will call this endpoint as an API, which will start with an API. And let's say we would like to call this fruits. Save that, and so what this would do is that router.route API fruits. So if I do an API and fruits, so you will see that we are seeing the same thing as route. So what I will do is that I will have a separate text file. Let's call it fruits.txt, and as a get request, let's have a fruit here. Let's say cherry. I save this, and in our get request, what we will do is that we will get the item in our fruits file. So in order to do that, we would need the fs dependency. So we'll bring in fs, and let's get a new terminal and do an npm install --save fs. So we have installed the fs library. So at this point, we will do an fs read file, and so this would take the name of the file. So we have the file name as fruits.txt. Let's click rename and copy the name, and let's add the name like file, let's say, and which would take the string value of the file name. So then I can pass in the file here, and this would take a callback function which is hero and data, and we can send a JSON output of this using, let's say, data and data, which is basically this data. However, this data is in binary form, so what we will do is that data.toString parenthesis. Okay, cool. And we can comment out this for now. So if I save this at this point, we'll go back to my Nodemon terminal. You will see that it has restarted our server. So at this point, if I refresh our page, I should see this data cherry. So what I'm trying to do here through this fruits.txt file is that I am mimicking a database. Usually in a Node.js project, you would send like different database calls to the send like different like RESTful calls to the database in order to like get some like fetch some data or create some new data or like updating data. So what I am doing here is that I'm doing a fetch call to our database, for example, like this fruits.txt, and bringing in the item from our fruits.txt file. This is what basically you do like in a like regular Node.js project. So we are done with the fetch call. So let's try to do a post call. So So as part of this, let's say this get call is like fetching data from a static file, in our case, which is this fruits.txt. um and so and a post call would be to post a new um, data to our static file fruits, or just call it okay file. So what basically we're doing is that, so let's okay, let's keep it for now here. Okay, so what you can do is that you can use the same route as a get, post, put, or a delete request. So what I'm doing here is that I'm adding a new post request, which will take this callback function regress, and inside of this you can do anything which will be triggered for a post request onto this controller. Okay, so what we're trying here is that we would add a new fruit to our fruits.txt file. So the way we do this is that write file and the file name and the data, for example. So the data is, let's say we add apple into that, and a callback function which will take an error and a data. And what we want to print is that what we get in the new what we get in our fruits.txt file. So basically, if we want to send this, you would find that we will be doing the same thing as we are doing here. So basically what we're doing is, so let's copy this and let's paste it right here. So what basically we'll be doing is that for a post request, instead of only reading the file, we will add a new item to our file, and after we are done with that, we will basically read this file, which is exactly what we are trying to do here. That okay, so post the file, post the new apple or the new fruit there, and just read the file or read the data inside of our file. So as a result, we'll be writing the file with the apple, and then we'll read the file and we send a JSON output to our REST output. Okay, so let's save that. So here's this trick that you can only practice get request in a browser. In order to try a post request, you need some kind of like client for using or testing REST APIs. You can use like Postman. So let's say I just have this okay, so I just have this Postman tab, and inside of this, let's try localhost 3000 API, and let's say call it fruits, and I do a get request. So if I do a get request, you are seeing that I'm getting cherry from there. Okay, so what if I do a post request right there? So I'm doing a post request, and if I send this, I am seeing apple here. So how is it coming there is that a post request replacing our fruits.txt and with apple, and then this is reading the file from there. So now if I go back to the fruits.txt, you will see that it has changed to apple. So this is what this write file function does, is that this overrides the data within a file with the specified value. So One other thing, you see that like I'm sending this data um to um our database or whatsoever, like our fake database or like this fruits.txt file. So if you want to not send a if you don't want to send a hard-coded value, or instead you want to like send a like body through a post request, the way you would be doing is that you would want to bring in the Bodyparser um dependency library. So let's call it Bodyparser, and let's call it so this is a middleware. So I have to do app.use Bodyparser, and also app.use bodyparser.url encoded extended files. So now at this point, if I let's say if I want to console out, let's say console.log the body that is being sent within the request object, I can do this through rec.body. So if I save this file, and this is complaining that deprecated Bodyparser and undefined extended. Okay, let's install the Bodyparser library. Pm install save Bodyparser. Okay, now going back to our code. So if I do a post request, basically changing it to post, and then I'm doing a send there. So you would see that a rec.body is empty. This is because we are not sending any body to our request. So let's try to send a body. So in our body, and let's do this one, and let's call it our fruit. Let's add so we are getting an apple, but if we add an apple you will not see the difference. Let's add another fruit, let's say banana. Let's do send, and you will see that I read body fruit banana. So basically this is what you want to put as a as the input field here. So the way you do this is that read body dot fruit, which would send whatever you send as part of this value and print the data as the value. Okay, let's send that, and you will be seeing the data banana. Let's change it to, let's say, berry, and let's do a send here, and you will see that data berry. Cool. So we have a post request also laid down right now. So let's call it creating new data in string file. Okay, so now we are good to try our put request. We should take this callback address, and I'm using this arrow function where you don't specify the like function like this or the name of the function. You just like specify the arguments and then add a arrow in order to like define the function there. So we would call the fs.append file, and we should take the name of the file and the um, the new data that you want to append or you want to update with. So let's call it the semi-body fruit. Okay, and basically what you want to do is that you basically want to read the output in the file. So we'll call read fs read file and the data, and we will print the data as a string. Okay, so if I save this file, let's go back to our Postman and change the request to a put request. Okay, so right now you are saying that we only have berry in our fruits database or our like fake database, whatever you say. So let's add in another fruit. Let's select apple, and if I send this, you will see that the apple is being appended with the berry. It is not overriding the way it was doing a post request. For example, if I do a post request and let's call this with like only apples, if I send this, you would see that this will override the value, and you are also seeing the apple right here. But when I do a code and let's call it apple or whatever the fruit is, do a send, you would see that the banana or the new data is being appended with the previous data. And also we go back to our fruits.txt file, you will see that the data has been changed to apple banana. So this is how you would do a put request. Let's have a comment that updating static file with put request, and we can also do the delete. So the delete REST call would take this delete method, and the same way we will send a request object, and the delete method in order to like delete a file is that fs.unlink. So if I unlink and I send the name of the file, which is file, and this would take an error object, the callback function, and we can so basically this would delete our database. So you would not be able to read data from our fake database. So as a result, we can do something like data okay data, and let's call it like file was deleted. Okay, add semicolons on these places, and at this point if I save this and let's call our delete endpoint with this delete, and if I do a send, so you would see that the call was successful and we're getting a data with the values file was deleted. And if I go back to our project, you are not seeing the fruits object anymore in our project directory. So basically this deleted the data from our project directory. So yeah, this is how this way you just like saw that how you can create REST APIs using Node.js. It's really simple. Let's add a comment for this, that deleting object using delete command or something like that. Cool. Okay, let's save that. Yeah, so this is how we can create our RESTful web services using Node.js, which is like pretty simple. However, like in real application, you would deal with a real database. You would have, for example, like some like credentials for your database, which you want to specify like before accessing any of the resources. But like for our example, so we're also saying that like in our, so this has been deleted already. Yep. Okay, so here in our example, we just used a fake database called like fruits.txt file in order to like play with the data inside of it. And you are also saying that I'm using the same endpoint, which is this API slash fruits. So if we go back to our Postman, so you are seeing that we are using the same endpoint in order to call different like REST calls like get, post, put, or delete. Yep. Yeah. So like as you can see that there are also like some other like REST services as well, but like in the most like web applications, you will get in. You will see like these kinds of like four major REST calls. Um, yeah. So this is how basically you want to create REST APIs using Node.js. I hope you like this video. If you have any suggestion or any comments, please share so that I can help you with your inquiries. Thank you so much. Bye.